and this is where the Sharia law is derived from.
And the Sharia apparently is some sort of a harsh punishment, a harsh law. I mean, I'm just trying to find out because I've heard of it before. You know, in other countries, I mean, Arab world, is it harsh? What is it? I mean, punishment?
See, we don't realize that this also establishes justice for people when they're dealing with commercial transactions. Like, for instance, there has to be 2 witnesses present, and then, say, for instance, and there have to be 2 male Muslims. But, say, for instance, only 1 male Muslim, then the 2 women can be the second witness, you might as well say. So it would be a male and 2 women witnesses. So that's just an example of this is even a part of the Sharia law, which is that, you know, you cannot just carry out a transaction. You can, Allah says there's no blame on you if you do it on the spot, but, you know, at least give some of your property, and whoever is entrusted with the property, they must give it back whenever it is that the conditions are met. So this is also part of Sharia law. And for those people who have studied Sharia law, like the real world organizers and stuff, those people who are not biased to Islam or anything, and they're not even Muslim, they realize if this was to be implemented, not just the commercial part of it, but the Sharia law itself, into the societies, then there will be more peace, there will be more structure.
Equity,
balance
in certain areas.
Yeah, so Sharia law shouldn't be looked at as something that is just about punishment, but it also establishes justice for the needy. It establishes justice. So just think about the word justice for a second. We want people to deal with us right, and we want to be done right, and so we should want to go out and do what's right too.
But we get the impression at times that Sharia has to do, even at times when it comes to, but in the Christian world, we also kill. We put you to death for wrong things. We execute you. We lethal injections, and Sharia law does that too, apparently.
Well, yeah, of course, but not with the lethal injections. There's certain rulings in the Sharia law that is according to the Quran and according to the Sunni. And you know, once again, if a person, for instance, they do something wrong and they ask for forgiveness, then there is nothing that can be done. Allah is forgiving them. Oh, yeah. You know, so yeah. So, but it has to be sincere. You know, so a person can't just do this, you know, out of. But at the same time, it's conditional. So a person can be in a situation where they're in fear of their life, but they also sincere. So then they have been forgiven. You know, so there's a leeway there. And Sharia law is not something that is very complex, because for the person who understands that it comes from the last message of the Quran, and which is the Quran, the last message given to all mankind. And it's just like if you go to, say for instance, I come into your studio, and I'm using this because it's personal. I come to your studio, there's a certain way that you have everything organized, there's a certain way that you want things to be done. And so with that being said, it wouldn't be proper for me to come into your area, your environment, and start trying to do what I want to do. Allah brought us into this world, and we try to do what we want to do when we really need to be doing what He has asked us and commanded us to do. And at the same time, He needs nothing. He's the giver. So when we do what He asks us to do, then it's good for our own self. Because on the day of judgment, this is the things, these good deeds, this is what we're going to need to be free from the hellfire. You know?
Well, you know, a very interesting conversation, brother. And I'm seeing that our listeners are spellbound, really, and they learned a whole lot this morning here for sure, really, from this chat. And you are very in depth, really, when it comes to teachings of Islam, and they consider that you're a young man, and you see that for real. And so you're into that, well on your way. In terms of marriage, though, for example, if I marry, let's say, a Christian lady, I'm a Brooks, she gets Brooks. What about you? You're married as well. Does the wife take your last name, or
she keeps the name of her father, because the lineage is through the male. So she keeps the name of her father. Yeah, her last name, yeah. So
it doesn't change?
No, it doesn't change, because if anything, we have to be able to know our roots. And one of the things that have gotten lost along the way, we don't know our roots. We can't even trace it back. Why? Because you see what has happened is this Brooks, like with your last name and my last name, my original last name, Clark, it has been attached. And so then to try to keep tracing it back, it gets a little confusing. But when you trace back the lineage, see, Allah is the one who who has allowed us to know things. So he also allows us to keep up with, this person was born to this person. You see that even in the Bible. They give the lineage of this person. And if you look at the lineage, even in the Bible, it is not based off of women. Even though you know whose mother is certain people. But when, like, for instance, it gave the lineage going all the way to Jesus, it went, and this male, and this male, and this male, and this male, this male, this man gave birth, and we begot. So if anything, it's just to establish the correctness of things. So it's nothing. We shouldn't feel like they're our property. First of all, a woman is not our property. So she does not belong to us. She belongs to Allah. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, which means to Allah we belong, and to Allah we return. So she belongs to Allah, but Allah has entrusted her to us. So that we have to deal with them justly. We have to love and seek love and tranquility with them and respect them. And so that shouldn't even be an issue if someone feels like, well, she needs to take my last name. That starts to, be like possessive type mentality right there. And we shouldn't be like that.
Oh, right. Okay. And, and I have so many questions for you because, I've been looking at this for a long time. And I've been speaking to persons here who are Muslim faith in Anguilla as well. Ramadan. What is Ramadan?
Oh, man. MashaAllah. Ramadan, first and foremost, it is a Islamic name for a month in the Islamic calendar for after the Prophet, peace be upon him, migrated to Medina. So what happens is Ramadan, the name itself, this time period in every year, and we're dealing with the lunar year, and it's not moon worship or anything.
And the Hajj,
Yeah. So Ramadan, it is a blessed time for the Muslims because Allah said what? He said He sent down the Quran in Ramadan. And it is on a blessed night. There's a blessed night in Ramadan, which is called the night of power. And this night of power, it is the night when Allah sends down all of the decrees of what's going to happen for the next year to come. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also sent down the Torah. He sent down the Injil. He sent down the scrolls given to Abraham in the month of Ramadan. So I will read you for a second. I will read you a chapter in the Quran, which it talks about Laylatul Qadr, which is the night of power. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Seek refuge in Allah from the cursed Satan, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. It says, indeed, we sent the Quran down during the night of decree. And what can make you know what is the night of decree? The night of decree is better than 1,000 months. The angels and the Spirit descend therein by permission of their Lord for every matter. Peace it is until the emergence of dawn. So during the last 10 days of Ramadan, there is a particular night, which if a person is worshiping on this night and Allah accepts their worship, He frees them from the hellfire. And it's better than 1,000 months of worship. So what happens? Allah has blessed us for this time period of the year. And every year, the shaitan gets chained up, and he cannot influence like he was influencing throughout the other months. And he has to sit back and wait for this 29 or 30 days. And while this is happening, Allah makes it easy for us to do righteous good deeds during this month. So this is a blessed month that just passed. And as a matter of fact, I got the opportunity to spend 10 days in the mosque here, which is only one mosque on this island. But I gained so much clarity by spending time. Because what happens is I personally realized that we're going to lose everything. And the only thing that we will not lose is our deeds. And our deeds need to be based on doing what Allah has asked us to do. And if we have good deeds on the Day of Judgment and our scale is weighed down with good righteous deeds, then we will have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to look at. And this is the best reward for the person interested to the paradise.
Well, brother, I want to thank you. Your name again, sir?
Yusuf Hanif.
Yusuf, thanks for your time, sir. And a very interesting, discussion here today. One that I'm sure will have reinvigorated lots of people here in the land today, and it will be the source of much conversation going forward in the days ahead. Really.
You mind if I say one last thing?
Go ahead, sir.
It's just 4 verses from the Quran. And it's A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. It says, Qul huwallahu ahad. Say He is Allah, the one and only one. Allahu samad, the eternal, the ever-enduring, the absolute and alone. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. And he begets not, meaning he gives birth to nothing. He has no children, no wife, no nothing. Nor was he ever begotten. He doesn't have a mother or father. And there is nothing like or comparable to Allah. Yeah.
He's the man. God is the man. God, Allah.
Exactly. He's the same as long as you don't associate partners with him.
Okay,
right.
Brother, all the best to you, sir. I wish you the best, sir. Again, nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
And you can be assured that you will have. We get an Anguilla, an area of much conversation because people love to listen to these things, and of course Christians. The perspective is good to hear about these things, and it can also inform us even further when it comes to Christianity as well. Because you showed me that there's a connection, there's a correlation between what happens in the Christian world, what happens in the Muslim world, and you brought some more clarity, really, to Islam, the whole teaching of Islam here in Anguilla, because some of us believe that Islam, when you hear it, you are terrified because of what you would have seen on TV, what you hear about Osama bin Laden, what you hear of ISIS, but you were saying that it is much different to that, and much different to that.
One last thing, and I'm sorry to try to take over, but I'll say that I used to smoke, I used to drink, I used to lust, and the level that Allah would be displeased with me. But when I became Muslim, all of these things was changed. Allah guided me to those good deeds, and I stay away from these things because these things are harmful to us. So this is one of the things, if you ever see someone become Muslim and they are true about it, you'll see their whole demeanor and character change.
So for Muslims, there's no rum, no smoke, nothing, no drugs, no cocaine, no meth, nothing.
None of those things. Wow. And so imagine how that cleans up our world, our society. These things are put here as a test. Just because there's poison on the planet doesn't mean you drink it. Just because you got a metal wire doesn't mean you stick it in a socket. It doesn't make sense. So we have choices to make. And may Allah allow us to make the best of choices.
Okay, sir. And now, yes, all the best to you, sir. Thanks to you. Good to see you again. All right, sir? Bye-bye. Okay. Klass from here in the morning.